Eric TRIST. Please come to reception.
Police close in on a 54-year-old unemployed labourer.
Just hold on a sec, we'll see if he responds.
He's one step ahead of the net, and they've missed him again.
He's not up there. His gear's there, but he's not in.
And a young schoolgirl bewitched by an older bloke.
Have you actually sort of seen him, this Adam?
Never seen
Oh,
him.
no.
None of us have.
The search for 14-year-old Danae leaves Gary grilling her older boyfriend.
Sure you're not with her? No. You certain? This is your last chance.
In the Northern Territory, a tourist disappears in the Outback.
He believed he was being followed by some New Zealand Black Power gang members.
And his grieving family pleads for help.
What we're asking for is even those people that we have spoken to really dig deep and try and help us out here.
Also, the sad case of 83-year-old great-grandmother Melvie Cooper.
She's not back.
No, she's not here.
She caught her train and vanished.
Now we're really starting to get worried. It's dark outside. We don't want her to spend another night.
In the Northern Territory at police headquarters, Detective Sergeant ISOBEL CUMMINS is continuing her investigation into the disappearance of 26-year-old tourist Jamie Herdman.
He left Broome on the 23rd of November 2006 and travelled to near Warilla Roadhouse, which is in WA. And there he came across his boss who had been away for work and said to him that he had to leave because his past had caught up with him.
What Jamie meant by that, or what he did next when he reached the Northern Territory, is the real mystery.
On the 26th of November, he attended Katherine Police Station. He believed he was being followed by some New Zealand Black Power gang members.
But police saw Jamie later that day, 300 kilometres south of Katherine at Daly Waters.
They reported seeing a male on the side of the road hitchhiking outside the Highway Inn, who was a very similar appearance to Jamie Herdman.
But when police went to investigate, Jamie was already gone. And so his desperate father, who lives in England, flew in to make this appeal.
This guy is somewhere out there and we've got to find him. I guess what we're asking for is even those people that we have spoken to really dig deep and try and help us out here.
And now, almost a year later, police are no closer to finding out what happened to Jamie Herdman. Meanwhile, in New South Wales, in the ongoing case of Eric TRIST, the Missing Persons Unit is still searching for the 54-year-old labourer.
And now we're going over to Surrey Hills. We've got some information from one of the government agencies that Eric may be at an address over there, so hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and he's there and we can close this case.
Last week, we brought you the case of Eric TRIST, who disappeared almost 6 months ago.
I'd just like to see if anybody could help us find me brother.
Gary's investigation sparked a massive search of bushland and old army bunkers on Sydney's coast.
I find that really disturbing to think that, you know, there's people actually living down here and coming down here and spending time down here.
No sign here, but a tip-off brought renewed hope.
There may be a person that lives on the golf course, Randwick Golf Course.
Hi, mate, how you going?
But this man at the golf course...
You tell us what your name is. Stephen, is it?
...is not Eric.
Oh, no, well, you thought you might have been someone else.
Today, Mandy and Gary have received a new tip from Centrelink.
Yeah, Gary Bailey, missing person. There you go.
It's an address, and it leads to this Salvation Army hostel for homeless men.
Mate, we're concerned for a missing person, Eric TRIST.
Yeah, he's actually a resident here right now.
Is he?
Question is Eric still here? Meanwhile, in Darwin, police are about to retrace their steps in the search for Jamie Herdman to make sure they haven't missed any clues.
It's just bizarre that he's actually gone up Adelaide River, turns around and goes back to Katherine, and then further down to Daly Waters. And from there, the track's gone cold.
In one of the biggest police jurisdictions in the world, finding answers out here is no easy task.
We need to get some closure for his family. Like, they are absolutely devastated. They need the answers. They need to find out where Jamie is.
Just so much mystery.
Jamie's dad now lives 20,000 kilometres away in England, but this doesn't stop ISOBEL. Today, she's using the satellite to update Jamie's dad and to search for new leads.
His demeanour, his personality, what can you tell us about those sorts of things?
He had a real struggle from the time that his mum passed away. He got involved with alcohol and definitely drugs at that time. His mum had a way of understanding him, and prior to Janine's death, Jamie was on a good track. He was training to be a chef in Christchurch.
But when Jamie came to Australia to get over his mum's death, he became even more remote.
The last time I spoke to Jamie was about 4 weeks prior to his disappearance, and he was talking about his plans of maybe coming to England to see us.
But those plans never came off, and now his family live a daily nightmare that never ends.
You don't have a choice. You have to be strong. You have to be focused. My focus is to find my son, and I won't change from that.
Back in New South Wales, at the Salvation Army hostel, Gary's following up the news that Eric TRIST is living here.
Now I'm excited.
Eric TRIST. Eric TRIST. Please come to reception. Eric TRIST to reception, please. Just hold on a sec. We'll see if he responds. If not, we'll go up and have a look for him.
He's not up there. His gear's there, but he's not in. He's probably skipped it.
It's incredibly frustrating work when you come so close.
You know, and some people just leave, you know.
But with his bags still upstairs...
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Thank you.
OK.
It's now a waiting game.
How are you?
Apparently he just skipped out a few minutes before us. They're going to ring us and tell us when he's here, and we'll come and have him cited, but it's just fantastic news.
Back with the Northern Territory Police, Jamie Herdman's van has been sitting in the police compound since he disappeared.
So he had the whole set up in here. He's got his fridge, his stove. It's all set up for him travelling. He's got all his camping stuff in here.
ISOBEL and Kerry are checking it for clues one more time.
It's been right through. Forensics have been right through the roof, right through the floor.
The van is a crucial piece of evidence. It was found abandoned at Daly Waters the day after Jamie was last seen alive.
We're just waiting on the fingerprint results to be confirmed, but at present we've got no indication of anybody else's prints on anything that was tested.
What's worrying ISOBEL most is why Jamie was hitchhiking at all. His van was found full of fuel with his belongings still inside.
His mobile phone was located here. There were no keys in the vehicle when it was located, but it was unlocked.
And no passport either?
No, no. We've got no idea why Jamie's left his van, the location he's left it. There's nothing to suggest the van wasn't working at all. So we're going to go and have a chat to a couple of witnesses who first identified the van as being at the Highway Inn and abandoned there. And hopefully they can shed some more light on what may have occurred.
Meanwhile, in New South Wales, in the frantic search for Eric TRIST, Gary's received an urgent call to go back to the hostel because Eric has finally turned up.
Got the orange one door there.
And there he is. After 6 months, Gary's found his man.
Mr TRIST, there you go. Yes. We're from the missing persons, Gary Bailey. I don't know whether you've been, whether you're aware of it or not.
I wish I'd missed it.
Your brother's been reported you're missing and very concerned about you.
Yeah, which one?
Stanley.
Stan?
Yeah.
Oh, big Stan.
Just pop down there, mate.
It's not a crime to go missing, but police have to investigate every report, no matter how difficult.
We had a massive search for you out around... You've been living out around Malabar? Yeah, a couple of your old mates said, oh, he's living up in the hills here or something.
I was doing rough there for a while until...
That's why we were concerned. We had motorbikes and God knows what looking for you. Anyway, our main concern is that you're all right.
I didn't realise it was such a concern.
Yeah.
You look well.
Yeah, it's a good place to stay.
Good spot here.
Yeah. 3 meals a day and everything. You don't believe it.
Eric does look well, but his life over the past few months hasn't been easy.
Especially when I was food. Sometimes I went through garbage bins looking for food. I was that hungry, yeah. At the primary school. I got a few sandwiches. I went all right. I surprised myself. I got a few sandwiches out the bin wrapped up in plastic. They had them. It's a hard thing to say, but when you're hungry, yeah, you will eat, yeah.
Yeah, Stan, how you going, mate? Well, mate, we've got some good news. We've got Eric here and he wants to have a yarn to you. You all right? We'll put him on.
Thanks, mate.
There you understand, mate.
How you going, mate? What might you do this, Stan? No, I just took off. No, not in trouble.
He's not in trouble, but imagine the resources that could have been saved.
You know me, I get the walkabouts.
If only Eric had told someone he needed help.
I didn't want to bother you.
Do you want to settle it up for a while, Eric, so you get sorted out? I have to come and pick you up?
Yeah, that'd be fine, love. Yeah, I just really didn't want to ask you, you know.
Fortunately for Eric, his family loves him enough to ask him to come home.
All right, Eric. Good to meet you, mate, and all your best, and I hope everything works out for you, all right? So you've got your papers and that there, and
You too.
we'll leave it at that, eh?
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay, good on you, mate.
Thanks again.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great result. He's healthy and well, and he was amazed, actually, that he was reported missing, but he's going to reunite with his family tomorrow, and that'll be lovely.
Meanwhile, in the Northern Territory, police are retracing missing tourist Jamie Herdman's last known movements. Isabel's driving south to Katherine, where Jamie told police his life was in danger.
We're going to speak to two police that spoke to Jamie on the last day that he was sighted. That was when he attended the Katherine police station and stated that somebody was supposedly following him. Certainly, we've got a lot of concerns that he hasn't accessed any bank accounts, he hasn't spoken to his family. We don't know if he's just laying low somewhere, doesn't want to be found, or if something untoward has happened to him. We've got absolutely no idea. Steve, Isabel, come and take her.
Sergeant Steve NALDER was duty officer the day Jamie claimed people were after him.
He told me that he'd departed Broome the day before in his van, and that he'd been pursued from Broome to Katherine by 4 Black Power members in a red Ford Falcon, and that they were currently in Katherine. He'd seen them there, and that they were intent on harming him. I went out.
Bizarre story, maybe, but police actually found that red Ford.
Well, I dispatched a unit around town looking for these people. They apprehended the vehicle, but I determined quite quickly that these people were not, in fact, Maoris from New Zealand. They were Aboriginal from Queensland.
This news has Isabel questioning Jamie's state of mind.
What was your opinion on the way he was?
He just came across as quite a normal, down-to-earth sort of person, but with a slightly fantastic story.
But this story gets even more intriguing as Isabel follows Jamie's route south on the last day he was seen alive. Back in Sydney, Stanley and Harry have arrived to take their little brother Eric home.
Just in case he didn't want to see us, I brought a new list of telephone numbers and things along, just made them wallet size for him to put in his wallet so he keeps them with him at all time. And then he knows he can just ring one of them and...
So that we're only a phone call away, at least, you know.
It's a big moment for Stanley. In the chapel, Eric's feeling nervous as well. He hasn't seen his brothers since their dad's funeral 6 months earlier.
Really shocked with the system, I think. Yeah, he's a good bloke, Stan. He's very outgoing.
And that looks like the big killer.
There he is.
Hey.
Yeah, bro.
How did you find me?
Yeah, there we go.
Perseverance.
Yeah, perseverance.
Skin and bone, mate. What have you been doing?
Good for a diet, mate. You should try it, mate. Good for a diet, mate.
Just glad to see you're all right.
Just give up.
Tell me we had some reports about you.
Give up and went bush.
There'll be none more of that. You need anybody, just ring us and all that sort of thing. I've got a pile of numbers here.
Oh, no, mate. I didn't want to worry you. That was the trouble.
Oh, mate, there's times when you have to.
Same as everyone, you know.
Times when you have to, mate.
Yeah, no, you should have just ring. But anyway, as long as you're right now, that's the main thing.
I just lost the plot. Yeah, that's it.
A magic moment, one Stanley and Harry feared they would never see.
Well, come on, we better get you home. Build up those muscles, man.
You're ready for the western suburbs, mate.
Yeah, come out west.
You had enough of
with
Malabar
the
Point.
Westies.
Well, I'm going to do south.
But how Eric will go living with his brother Stanley remains to be seen.
Yeah, we'll get you home.
You're going out to the western suburbs, mate.
At the New South Wales Missing Persons Unit, Sergeant Elizabeth Rickard begins searching for missing dementia sufferer Melvie Cooper.
Sergeant Rickard, I'm from the Missing Persons Unit. How are you going?
Good, thank you.
And the first thing Liz does is ring her distraught son, Jeffrey. He tells her his 83-year-old mum disappeared the day after she heard her older brother had passed away.
Was she close to him?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. He was a big brother.
Okay.
After we broke the news to Mum, I asked her, would she like to, instead of being home on her own, would she like to come up to my place? And no, she didn't want to go. Everything's set up here for me. And one of the main things with dementia is they get stubborn and aggressive. And, well, I noticed she's getting a little bit more aggressive and just very stubborn.
Yeah.
Everything I've tried to set in place for her, she said no to it.
Yeah, yeah.
But the real worry is that Melvie's dementia makes her extremely vulnerable.
I have noticed that sometimes she'll be at a place she should know, and she'll say, "Where are we now?"
Right.
Things like that.
Thanks for talking to me, and I'll see you soon.
Righto. Thanks very much for your help.
Thanks. All right.
Okay. All the best. Bye bye.
Bye bye. There may be a very reasonable excuse as to where she is, but at this stage, yeah, it's pretty concerning about where she may be.
Meanwhile, in the Northern Territory, police are retracing the last known movements of missing tourist Jamie Herdman.
At the moment, we're going to Larrimah to a tea house. The proprietor of the tea house in Larrimah indicated that she may have seen Jamie. So we're going to stop in and speak to her and see if we can get anything from there that might give us fresh lead.
Fran Hodgetts was driving home along the highway when she spotted someone who looked very much like Jamie.
When you see somebody on the road, you see somebody with no suitcase, you take note, oh, somebody's dropped him off, he's been a hassle. It was weird because he was like looking as if he was lost something or he didn't know where he was going or what he was doing, and he's struggling like this through the grass and no suitcase, nothing, not even a bottle of water.
Yeah.
So the next day in the afternoon, he came here. I looked at him, I thought, oh, that's the guy. I thought, oh, geez, I thought.
Yeah, so when he left, which way did he head?
I didn't know where he left. When he left here, he just walked out. I don't know where he went. I think he might have laid in the bush somewhere and got bitten. Nobody'd know.
Unfortunately, Fran can't remember the exact date she saw Jamie, whether it was before or after he abandoned his car at Daly Waters.
We now are heading to the Highway Inn at Daly Waters, where Jamie's vehicle was located at, and also where Senior Constable Nathan Finn saw Jamie hitchhiking just prior to his disappearance being reported by family members.
Back in New South Wales, Liz has travelled to Newcastle to interview Melvie Cooper's sons, Jeffrey and Russell.
Hi, Jeff. Liz, spoke to you on the phone.
They tell Liz their 83-year-old mum has dramatically changed since her dementia.
She was an intelligent woman, you know. She'd get up and sing and put on a show of that if you're having a family do or anything like that. So, yeah, it's a bit sad, really.
You don't have any
But
other
the one
photos?
thing that has not changed is Melvie's love of riding trains.
And usually she catches a train up to Maitland or Talara. She's gone as far as Dungog or down as far as Gosford. As far as a free pass will allow her to go.
She's pretty independent.
It's like an addiction with her. She's on a walking stick. She had a fall the other day. She's got a broken, so it's got a plastic cast type thing on her hand. Her brother died on Saturday, and we're worrying if she thinks she can get to Queensland or something like that on the Gold Coast. Yeah.
You know how much she has on her?
Would have been about $175.
Unfortunately, that's enough money for Melvie to catch a train almost anywhere.
When we go down there, there's a book that they write little notations in how Mum's travelling. So
Right, yeah, because I was going to...
There's a good chance Melvie's carer has made a note about Melvie's movements. So Liz is off to check Melvie's journal. Meanwhile, in the Northern Territory, Kerry and Isabel are now meeting with the policeman who saw Jamie at this Daly Waters truck stop the very day he vanished.
Nothing unusual. It was 26th of November. I was actually travelling back to the Elliott police station, which is 155 k's down the road here, and passed a hitchhiker who, on the description given to me and the photos given by Jamie's family, was the same person. It's nothing unusual to see a hitchhiker though around the area. It was fairly hot back then. We were looking at 45 degrees, 46 degrees during the day.
Yep.
And you don't want to walk too far in that sort of temperature.
The next day, Jamie's van was found abandoned at the same truck stop.
Big search was conducted here. We actually went over it twice.
And how many days was that conducted over there?
The granddaughter search was conducted over 4 days.
Yeah.
We had an aerial search using a helicopter for a day and a half, I believe, a day and a half, which is about 18, 19 hours worth of helicopter flying.
Yeah.
For police, there are now 3 lines of inquiry. Did someone see Jamie hitching and give him a lift? Did he just wander into the bush and perish? Or was he attacked, as he feared, and murdered?
There's a lot of traffic that goes through, even when it's not tourist season. It's possible that somebody's picked him up hitchhiking, a truckie that's gone through, tourists that have gone through, and someone out there has got to know something about where he is.
Meanwhile, in Newcastle, at Melvie Cooper's house, her son Jeffrey found nothing when he checked his mum's shed and yard. So Liz now wants to read Melvie's journal.
Is Dry has had a bus and train trip by herself.
Reading that, had a bus and train trip by herself to Fassifern, back home after breakfast.
And she didn't mention anything about going.
No, she never did anything.
That was the last entry made by Melvie's carer, Alana, on the morning Melvie vanished.
Hello, is that Alana? Yes. Oh, hi, Alana. My name's Liz Rickard. I'm from the Missing Persons Unit. Look, I just wanted to ask you a couple of quick questions about Melvie and how she was.
She was quite okay. She was sitting on the veranda after I left, but she talked about for trips to Fassifern.
Was she still in her pyjamas when you saw her?
She had a dressing gown over her clothes. All I know, she had her Moe's trackies on.
Okay, and the shoes?
She'd always had slippers on.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what kind of slippers. She's not back.
No, she's not here.
And then the news just gets worse.
They're the sort of pills she should have taken. Okay. And it's important that she takes that one.
Well, I'm just thinking if she's not taking that, then what kind of pain is she going to be in without
Well,
it?
this is right.
Jeffrey knows that without her pills, Melvie may not survive another night.
I'm concerned for my mother, of course. I just hope that wherever she is, it's been warm, because if she's been out in the outside temperatures, I really fear for her well-being.
Back at the Sydney Missing Persons Unit...
Hello. Yeah, is that Paula, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Gary Bailey, Missing Persons. How you going?
How you going, mate?
The breaking case of missing schoolgirl Danae Atkinson has everyone on edge.
Down here, have you heard anything at all?
No, mate. The kids are saying that the last time they saw her, they saw her at 6 o'clock Friday, and she was walking home because I was right home from work. And I rang her, and her brother rang her, and she was coming home to babysit. And every kid that's left messages and said her phone's been gone since Friday night. They haven't been able to get it.
What happened?
That was 4 days ago when police found 14-year-old Danae wandering the streets alone. They drove her home, but as soon as they left, so did she. Straight out the back door, and her mum has no idea why.
Everything's happy at home?
Yeah, that's what I can't understand.
What about her school attendance and that? She been going to school regularly?
Yeah.
She shown much interest in boys?
Yeah, but I've only found one that this teacher gave me and he had literally stated, because I told him, if you know where she is, let me know, because, you know, you're older, very older than her, and she's not of the right age, so... But he'd said he'd seen her at 11 o'clock on the Friday.
What's his name?
That was impossible. Adam. I don't even know his last name. He comes from Dapto.
Do you have his phone
It's
number?
every parent's worst fear, their young daughter under the spell of an older boyfriend.
All right, Paula, I'll make a few more inquiries here, then we'll head down that way and we'll give you a ring and meet up with you somewhere, all right?
Yeah.
OK, then.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye. You know, there is some concern for this girl because she's never done it before. Police brought her home. What police, we don't know. Brought her home on Friday night and put her in one door and she's walked out the next and just kept going. She's never sort of run away before, so Mum's by right got some concern.
With no word for 4 days, Gary knows time may be running out for the young schoolgirl. Meanwhile, in Newcastle,
How you going?
Adam.
Hi, Adam. Nice to meet you.
Police are intensifying their search for great-grandmother Melvie Cooper.
I've given these to our car crews, so they're going to keep a lookout for her. So hopefully we will find her because it is starting to get dark and it'll be cold in town tonight if we...
Yeah, that's right. And she's been out for 24 hours now, so last night was a cold night, so we're starting to get quite worried about her.
Because of her love of riding trains, Melvie could be anywhere. So Liz issues an urgent statewide alert.
That's just gone through and all police in New South Wales will be able to read and have a look. She doesn't have much money on her. She's only got clothing for one day. She needs to take medication. There's a number of reasons, so we're getting quite concerned now because it's yesterday, 11:30, last time somebody saw her. We're quite concerned about that.
Back in the search for 14-year-old Danae Atkinson, Gary's on his way to Lake Illawarra, south of Sydney, to interview local police who first picked up Danae 4 days ago.
Yeah, we're going off to Warilla Police Station to see the supervisor there and just to see what Warilla's doing, what their plans are, and we'll work in with them and make some further inquiries. Then after that, we'll go and see Mrs Atkinson and see if she's got any further news, maybe get a photo off her and any more information she can give us.
Gary's looked for hundreds of runaways and knows the best way to find them is through their mates.
Teenagers are a little bit sort of tricky, you know, they're on the move all the time, there's nothing, they don't sort of have any money, you can't track them through banks and that. They're usually pretty hard to find and it's sort of elusive. You don't really want to be found, they just sort of want to get away, do their own thing and then when they've had enough, then they'll go home.
And that's Gary's best case scenario, that Danae will get bored and just come home.
These sort of runaways, they don't comprehend what the parents go through and that, they just, you know, and really don't care what happens.
It's now 8 p.m. in Newcastle and already very cold.
Just looking for a missing person.
But after 13 hours, Liz still won't stop looking for 83-year-old Melvie.
We're just looking for a missing person. This lady here.
She's still hoping that someone here at the railway station has seen the train-loving great-granny.
I can't say I have seen her, but I'll certainly keep an eye out.
Thanks very much. That'll be good, thank you.
Thanks a lot, no worries.
It might be very slow, old-style policing, but it works.
I've seen her face, yeah, I'll say that, but as for today, no, I've only been here since 12:30 as well, so...
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, no worries, thanks.
2 hours later, with the temperature dropping, there's still no news.
Now we're really starting to get worried. It's dark outside. We don't want her to spend another night, so we'll head back to the office and try something else.
Wearing only her dressing gown and slippers, 83-year-old Melvie Cooper has now been missing for almost 48 hours.
Oh, good morning. My name's Sergeant Rickard.
It's 7 a.m. and Liz is already on the case, searching for an overnight update from Newcastle Police.
I just wanted to see how you guys went last night with our missing person, Melvie Cooper.
I've spoken to the team leader this morning, and the car crews are out there doing a canvass and a door knock of the immediate area this morning. Do you think she could have been admitted to hospital?
The Sons have contacted every hospital they can think of. She has taken a couple of falls before, and the fact that she's not taking medication is a real worry, and the fact that she's been out for 2 nights now is even more of a worry. You hear of anything, if you could give us a ring here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya, bye-bye.
With her concern for Melvie growing, Liz rushes back to Newcastle to continue her own search.
What we're going to try and do is speak to some local bus drivers, see if they recognise her face, because she catches the bus fairly regularly and then catches the train, so we'll see if anyone recognises her.
She's our missing person at the moment, and 2 days she's been away. And yeah, she's
not today.
She's 83 and she's on medication for things, and she hasn't had that since she's been missing, so we're quite worried about her.
We'll keep an eye out for her.
Okay. Yeah. All right, guys, well, thank you very much. We'll leave that with you so you can take it. Thanks. All right, see ya. The bus drivers have had a look at a photo and haven't really recognised her, so we're going to go to the police station and see what they've come up with.
Meanwhile, in the case of missing schoolgirl Danae Atkinson, Gary has arrived at Warilla Police Station, 2 hours south of Sydney.
Steve, Gary Bailey, mate.
To find out exactly where they picked up the 14-year-old a few days earlier.
She was picked up by the police at an address in Dapto. Apparently that's a vacant premises. It's brand new, just newly built, and
it's a strange place for a young girl to be, isn't it?
Seems to be a bit out of character for her. So,
Steve, well, mate, we'll go and have a look anyway, and we'll report back to you later on, just let you know when...
Okay.
Okay, then. We've been in to see Sergeant White, so that's given us an address. But first we're going to go around and see Mum and see what Mum can tell us first, then we'll go and check this address out.
So Gary is now hoping Danae's mum can tell him who her daughter was meeting in Dapto 4 days ago when she was picked up by police. At the same time, in Newcastle, there's been a breakthrough in the case of missing grandmother Melvie Cooper.
Yeah, we've just been given some information that Melvie is possibly being found in some long grass in Railway Street in Newcastle, so we're going to go straight there.
If it is Melvie, what condition might she be in?
Well, I really hope that she's all right. She's been in that grass for 2 days.
Liz's 2 days of full-on searching comes down to this next moment. Meanwhile, in Sydney, at 14-year-old Danae Atkinson's home, Gary and Sarah are confronted by her devastated family.
She wanted to come home, basically. You know, at least talk to us or something like that. Just let us know, like, she's safe, at least. That's all we want to know.
Do you have a photo we could sort of have a look at? I know you've given one to the local police.
This case is all the more worrying because Danae's disappearance is totally out of character.
It's a pretty cosy sort of close-knit family. If there's any problems, you know, we always talk about it. And,
where I am, I'll be here.
I'm 26 years of age and I can always still talk to my mum, so...
But unfortunately, Danae couldn't, so she turned to her new boyfriend.
Have you actually sort of seen him, this Adam?
Never seen him. Oh, no.
None of us have.
We've only just basically found out of him a day or so ago.
So you don't know how long she's been hanging around with him? Or...
No. I mean, she normally talks about her friends. Like, I know them all. Elizabeth over there knows them all, so they've all stayed here.
And you spoke to him?
Yeah, and he said he'd left her at 11 o'clock the night before, that he hadn't seen her since then.
On Saturday night?
Yeah, he hadn't seen her since then.
Yeah, well, that's very strange. That's the same time she was picked up, so...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. See, they may have all been together.
There's no doubt about it.
You know, young girls get themselves in trouble with boys all the time. If she's scared of that, fine. You know, stay where you are, but just say, I'm safe, I'm okay. You know, I'm with someone responsible, that's all.
I'll tell you what my personal opinion is. I think if we can find Adam, I think that's where she'll be.
And that's exactly where Gary's headed next.
Hopefully we can get her home soon.
Right, thank you.
OK, then.
Appreciate it, guys.
No problems.
To find Danae's older boyfriend, Adam.
Ring up, come home, just tell us you're all right, just ring. Leave a message with a friend, contact somebody, anybody. You know, it doesn't matter who, just ring somebody. Just go and tell someone you're okay, you know, that you're fine. That's all we need to know.
Back at a vacant lot on the outskirts of Newcastle, the elderly woman found in the grass is 83-year-old great-grandmother Melvie Cooper. It's the best possible result. 2 nights in the cold, without her medicine, but somehow Melvie has survived.
You're all right, Melvie? No, you're right. I'll give you a second, mate.
But she's hypothermic, dehydrated, and could have a broken pelvis.
At this point in time, it appears as if she isn't suffering any life-threatening injuries. Hopefully, she'll be okay.
It's one of those great happy endings that so easily could have gone the other way.
We have really great news. We found her, so we're going to go straight up to John Hunter and see how Melvie is.
In the Northern Territory's searing outback, police have arrived at the Highway Inn at Daly Waters to talk to the owners who found Jamie Herdman's abandoned van.
How you going?
Isabel and Kerry are hoping they may have remembered something else.
Basically, Peter came up and told me there was a car down, or a van down in the backyard. I went down, had a look, couldn't find anyone around. Rifled through till we found some information. From memory, I think I then rang the Elliott police. And from there on, it all just... But I never ever saw Jamie.
Yeah.
No, even when they sent the photo, I still didn't know who he was.
Can you recall what...
Brenda thinks it's all a bit fishy. The golden rule in these parts is never leave your car, especially if it's still running.
So when you saw it, it wasn't locked? It was...
No,
No, it's wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah, wide open.
And the windows, were they down?
Down.
They were down, yeah.
And like when we looked at the fridge later on, like when it was sort of getting a bit more serious, sort of like, shit, where is this kid? There was rotten food in it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was beer left in the car, money, cell phone.
And that's it. He wasn't booked into any of your rooms or
No,
anything
no.
like that?
I mean, I checked all that.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right.
And Brenda's instincts were spot on. Because Jamie's belongings and his money was still in his van, it didn't look good.
Whilst we've got no new leads or no new information today, the investigation will continue. We need to get a conclusion for the family, and we need a conclusion too. We need to know where Jamie is.
While the search goes on in Australia, back in England, for Jamie's helpless family, just not knowing what happened is almost as bad as finding their son dead.
I just want to see him and tell him that I love him and miss him, yeah. And if Jamie, if you're out there, plead for you, mate, to please just tell somebody we love you very much and we miss you heaps and we just want to find you, mate.
Back in New South Wales, outside Danae's home...
Is that Adam?
Gary's already calling her older boyfriend Adam.
Persons, mate, how you going? All right, mate. But the reason I'm ringing you is to see if I can find out where Dina is. You know, have you seen anything of her?
No, not yet.
When did you see her last?
Yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, in there.
What time is that?
Around 11-ish.
Adam reckons he hasn't seen Danae for 24 hours, but Gary doesn't believe him.
Don't muck around with me. You sure you're not with her?
No.
You certain? This is your last chance. So, all right. Okay.
But then the boyfriend breaks.
Because last time I spoke to her, she said that she was in Sydney.
When was that? Was that yesterday, was it?
Yeah, she texted me off the payphone to come down, and then I just went and saw her, and then she said...
Because Danae has no money, Gary believes she may still be close by, and he continues to grill Adam.
Just another interest. What sort of car do you drive?
Lancer.
Yeah. What colour's that? Blue, is it? You got P plates?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. If you do come across her, just get her to give her mother a ring, will you?
No.
All right.
No worries.
No, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, he still sort of says, nah, he hasn't seen her since about 11 o'clock yesterday, Unandura at the railway station, so I'm still not convinced. But, we'll see down the track. So what we'll do now is we'll go for a bit of a run down here where she was picked up the night before last by the police, and we'll just see if she's hanging around there.
Here's Abe, sweet Abe.
Meanwhile, across town...
Go on.
Until he gets back on his feet, Eric Trist will stay here with his brother Stanley.
Sort of thing there.
They're sleeping in the bushes, mate, I tell you, on the streets.
Not wrong.
After 6 months living out of garbage cans, this is heaven.
Terrific. Oh, mate. No worries, mate. Anything for the family, buddy. That's important in the family, isn't it?
It's an awkward moment for Eric and Stanley, but being here is a lot better than living on the streets.
You looked after Pop, and Pop looked after you, and then sort of was outside of turn to look after you as well.
So, for Eric, it's now time to relax and build some bridges with his brothers.
Cheers, fellas. Hey, great to have you back.
Same here, mate. Good to see you in one piece.
Meanwhile, in Newcastle, Jeff Cooper is finally back with his 83-year-old mum, Melvie.
It's a tough old nut, mate.
And Melvie needed to be to survive with her injuries.
How's she doing?
She's got a really sore knee.
Okay.
And she might have aggravated a pelvis where she's broken. These things happen, and as I said yesterday, it was something that was always going to happen. as far as Mum was concerned.
Yeah.
It'll just speed the process up now of getting into a aged care facility.
But she's a very strong woman.
She's coming from a very tough stock.
Yeah.
And that's just what makes dementia so very sad. It can strike anyone.
What a relief. That is a fantastic result. She's okay, so we're going back to the station.
Right now, Mum.
The race to find 14-year-old Danae hots up.
She's just walking through that though.
She's walking through that day.
And Gary has had a gutful of the teenage cone of silence.
Mate, you're going to be in trouble. Where's the girl at?
In South Australia, caught on camera.
If you look up in the top left of the screen, there's Dennis there.
Have police found their missing hotel guest?
I just hoped he'd picked up, pretty much.
He's fit, he's 98, and he's missing. Will Rokas Lipinskis make it to his ton?
No reason why he couldn't come walking down the drive.
And the postie who's running very late.
So where do you think he's gone?
I've got no idea.
His wife and children wait for any news.
Miss you, Daddy.
We love you and need you home.